after Katniss Everdeen survived the Diet Games, showing the whole of Pan Am that the power of Smacky Pokey can resist even the most frostbitten dictatorship. The population immediately dubbed her the local Neo, hoping that she would bring peace, friendship, chewing gum to Pan Am and rid the country of the rule of Grandpa Snow, who was government support during the pandemic. I didn't put money on the card, but bombs on people's heads. The opposition party of District 13 immediately took advantage of this and organized an escape for Katniss to get her the vacant position of the main TV propagandist in order to attract more people under the wing of the opposition. And the entire opposition of several thousand people with decent military equipment was housed in a huge bunker the depth of a skyscraper, which suggests how Snow's predecessor managed not to destroy it if an object of this size simply could not remain a secret from the capital, especially when there was a whole army inside with a shitty cloud of weapons. Also, by some miracle, the bunker existed in isolation for 75 years. Where did the food and water for thousands of people come from if they didn't come to the surface to avoid detection? Where do they get electricity if the fuel for the generators would go bad after 5 years? Even in 75 years, they have not lagged behind the technological development of the capital, and they fly on the same modern gadgets when they are in the bunker. They do not have the opportunity to drive to Walmart for spare parts or order what they need from Amazon. And gunpowder has a shelf life of 25 years, but everyone's firearms are working normally. Apparently, in addition to the bunker, they have a couple hundred other factories under their command that provide everything they need, and the capital doesn't know about it. Although how can they even know about something if unregistered leftist gadgets are flying freely around the country from state to state, just so that Katniss can see what has become of her native district? Just imagine the situation. Let's say Texas has rebelled and Washington destroys it with nuclear missiles, after which resistance is forming in one of the bunkers there, which has been growing and strengthening for 75 years. They also fly quietly on their planes all over America, and when necessary they go on TV and radio throughout the country, and they are so they can't detect it. And here it's all served on serious cabbage soup. And no sooner had Katniss set up a spacious 8 meters of living space and rented a TikTok room tour, then she was immediately taken without visiting a makeup artist to the president of the 13th District Coin, who informed her that her new invention, the Arrow of Thor, inspired the whole country in clashes, uprisings and skirmishes in 7 districts. And to add fuel to the bonfire of the revolution, Plutarch offers Katniss a position as a TV propagandist with a 2-in-2 work schedule, a cat, and a belly-button ring social package. But Katniss refuses a promising job with career growth because she puts pressure on Plutarch for the fact that, abducting her from games where the gadget could be shot down or intercepted at any second, he did not look for her boyfriend in the jungle, because what kind of revolution can flow when her boyfriend is sitting in the capital? There's a bottled diet inside, and it's a sore point. It's a good thing that Plutarch turned out to be a smart guy, and in order to transfer the girl's brain from the place where her legs converge to her head, he sent her to District 12 to admire how Snow thanked her hometown for her escape from the game, and also so that she would get a lethal dose of radiation. After all, Snow is leveling districts with nuclear bombs exclusively, and since her hidden memcoin mower burned down along with the city, in order to avenge Snow for this, she agrees to work as a TV presenter for an increased salary. Well, Snow himself shows that he is so greedy that he is ready to fight with a cat for whiskey, since he did not allocate money for HIMARS and radars for all districts, thanks to which rebel aircraft flies between districts like a home drone between rooms, and besides food, competes with a cat in intelligence and loses. After all, knowing that Katniss could return to her native home, that she even left a reminder of herself, he somehow did not think to set up an ambush of loyal boys here, or install a combat capsule, which would later dot the streets of the capital. But most importantly, instead of reassuring the population by canceling the games for the time being and organizing a free concert by Gaga and P. Diddy, he arranged for the issuance of vouchers to the next world to everyone who utters his last name at least once. Katniss, or Write It in the Snow, which very unexpectedly led to even more displeasure and protests. Even the handsome Pete Big Cudgel didn't help. He squeezed his balls in a vice and forced him to broadcast pure views to the people. In order for people to calm down and return to their work duties for 3 pennies, and having dressed Katniss with the cheapest stylist, the producers begin to make content, but in the way she studied not at the Juilliard Theatre School but on the TV series The Squid Game. Her game encourages her not to go to war, but to write to her in the tabloid to shut up, and after only 5 takes, Plutarch and Chemic's brains went out for a smoke, and while the men's craniums are empty, they think of removing propaganda on the battlefield. After all, when for them, Katniss like John Connor, Thomas Anderson and Harry Potter in one bottle, whom they have been waiting for 75 years, decide on the very first day to send her to the front to be shot by a sniper, or she was blown up by a mine. Although for her safety, it was necessary to send her not to the 8th district, where the appearance of an enemy is possible, but to the 12th, where there is nothing but ruins and skeletons. And since the arrow of Thor Katniss swung 15 levels at once for a shot, Rambo's fiery and explosive arrows became available to her in the bunker. Only the girl did not understand how to use arrows to fight supersonic aircraft. And instead of a bow and arrow, she needed to take a machine gun. Ethan Hunt, the xenomorph and bald carrier driver, Thanos with his pebbles, and John Wick, who can handle it with his hands. And her bodyguards didn't even think about aviation. They took automatic pistols against missiles and gadgets. And when China's presence is at the forefront, it needs to be kept a bigger secret than launching a presidential memcoin. Her Walmart guards didn't think to cover her face, knowing that there are a lot of cameras here, so Snow shoots that Jay will change shifts in the 8th district and sends an air force to give her a warm welcome so that she burns right to the bone. And the film crew forgot the script because instead of filming, they wandered around the city for several hours, and they would have had a barbecue if everyone hadn't wrecked Starfleet from the capital. But in order for Katniss to return home safely, the kind uncle, Director Nolanchak, reduces Snow's brain to the size of a rock's hair. After all, when the soldiers suggested a good idea to roast the body of the symbol of the revolution with aerial bombs, Grandpa ordered bombs to be dropped on the hospital, and in China he only allowed oblique shooting, even with a span of 5 meters, so that Jay with his worthless bow could show at least some result and earn a rare achievement. And after the destruction of the bombers, the old grandfather did not call a couple more here, or a targeted strike with a small nuclear bomb to crash. Jay finally realized why not stage a revolution against a dictator with a cool army if the scriptwriters lowered his intelligence below the baseboard. And after such a cool shot, a revolution immediately ran through Katniss' veins, and she gives out cool improvisation content. And this stand-up of Katniss immediately starts playing on all TV channels, brainwashing people into revolt, which Snow doesn't react at all, and he doesn't block broadcasts in the districts in any way, because he left for 2 weeks to treat prostatitis in a boarding house, and while the boys are dying in the trenches, Katniss and the Hollywood film crew are having a picnic by the lake. And having amused the TV crew with a song, Katniss realizes that with such popularity, it's not worth waiting for a guy from the zone, and starts messing with Gale. But the kid feels that they stupidly want to use him and resolutely dynamites his girlfriend, preserving his innocence for the guards of the Capitol, and the campaign in District 13 is strictly disciplined, and they hang out at 8 in the evening because when all the districts united into one army and went to Capitol at 13, everyone is bye-bye, and they don't even know about the offensive. And that the revolutionaries were sheep who swarmed under machine guns, not thinking to send armored cars forward to cover, that the Capitol Army, which had secured a strategically important facility, had only 1 platoon of machine gunners who could not contain the crowd for even a minute, so that the revolutionaries could easily set off explosives and blow up the dam, thereby depriving the residents of the Capitol the ability to surf the internet. And this wouldn't have happened if the military were cretins. The Capitol was destroyed by rioting areas. They suffered a hell of a lot when they dropped a nuclear bomb on District 12 just because Katniss ran away from the game. But the hackers also messed up a lot, and when they launched propaganda videos in all districts, they forgot to turn on the VPN in the browser, and the hackers used IP addresses. The approximate location of the bunker is punched through the Capitol, and the bombers are sent again, and both bunkers are destroyed, if one of the military cretins hadn't come up with the brilliant idea to talk about the bombing next to Pete, who warns his friends in the evening news section, plus some other genius thought of letting Pete on the air off the record, and live on the air, so that he could arrange such a forgery for the Capitol and warn his own people. Although there was no need to be afraid of bombs, since after a vacation on the island Snow turned into a kind romantic, and when the location of the entrances to the bunker was unknown to him, and the bombing failed after an airstrike, he ordered the gardeners to pick roses and scatter them all over the territory to show her that his roof had been blown off. Although even the smartest general would have thought to send a reconnaissance company here to find the entrance to the bunker and coordinate an airstrike with bunker bombs. And when the future was in the yard, instead of an accurate missile strike on Snow's palace, Cohen decided to send him a response on Twitter with a propaganda video. Yes, only after a night with Gale, Katniss realized that he was not up to Pete in terms of characteristics, refuses to host the Mockingbird Life program until Cohen saves. And in order for the young TV star to return to brainwashing the population, the president, wrinkling her ass, nevertheless authorizes a military rescue operation, especially when she has a direct line with the screenwriter who gave the exact location of Pete's prison hut. And this decision Cohen blew the fastest way to capture the capital, because when there is no electricity in the city and all defense systems are disabled. She decided to spend this window on freeing Walker Cattons, when it was necessary to send bombers to destroy the defense systems, military bases and warehouses of the capital, land troops in the city on the border to create a springboard for the offensive, and send an assault group to the Snow Palace, and capture the old man. Fuck off. But no, it's much better to spend this opportunity on rescuing several hostages, who are as useless as a goat's milk in a war. And since the president began to outpace Snow in terms of mental retardation, he decides to win first place in the schizophrenics chart again, because when the best spy in the world informed him that she had sent special forces to free Pete, he decided to take advantage of this, removes all the guards, and allows the opposition to save the kid so that when Cattons came he hugged her and Billy gave her an opexia test. And of course, this plan did not work, because the old bastard did not foresee the possibility that there would be people near Cattons who would quickly neutralize the crazy lover. But here's a good life hack: how to get rid of all the inhabitants of the bunker at once. Before giving Pete to them, you had to infect him with an incurable virus that would eventually turn the bunker into a huge crypt. Well, or put Pete to sleep, stuff explosives up his ass, and then detonate it here. So when did you become an expert at stuffing explosives up your ass? No comments.